Okay, everyone, I'm going to let everybody in about 15 seconds.
Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Stolte, and I'm a paramedic here in Southwestern Ontario. I'm your executive board member representing the geographical region of London and Region 7. I'm so excited to be here tonight and keep you all updated, listen to your concerns, and answer your questions. We have also some great giveaways throughout the next hour, so make sure you stay online and engage your own chance to win. I want to start tonight with our virtual Zoom meeting anti-harassment policy. We will not tolerate any hateful messages from attendees that are racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, or ableist, or any language that is discriminatory or violent in its intent. As such, we reserve the right to expel any attendees from our event that contribute to this type of behavior. Thank you in advance for following this policy. We will begin this meeting that we're meeting on an Aboriginal land that is inhabited by Indigenous peoples from the beginning. As settlers, we are grateful for the opportunity to meet here, and we thank the generations of people that have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Long before today, as we gather here, there have been Aboriginal peoples who have been stewards of this place. We wish to acknowledge the ancestral traditional territories of the Ojibwe, the Anishinaabe, and in particular the Mississauga of the New Credit, whose territory we gather on today. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties. We recognize and deeply appreciate their historic connections to this place. We also recognize the contributions of the Métis, Inuit, and other Indigenous peoples who have made both shaping and strengthening this community in particular, and our province and community as a whole. As settlers, this recognition and contributions to and historic importance of the Indigenous peoples must also be clearly and overly connected to our collective commitment to make a promise to challenge the truth, the reconciliation of real in our communities, and in particular to bring justice for murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls across the country. For those who don't know me, I want to welcome you to our third regional board meeting, and I'm also glad you're to be a part of it. This is my 6th year as a board member with SEIU. I've been the chief steward of my unit for 10 years now, and this year marks my 30th anniversary as a paramedic in the province of Ontario. Throughout tonight's meeting, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll answer as many questions as we can at the end of the meeting. To make sure we know who's asking the question, make sure you've renamed your Zoom name. You can do that by clicking on those little dots at the top of your picture and click rename. Feel free to also include your workplace or position so we also know a little bit more about you. As a healthcare worker, I know how stressful the last year and a half has been for us all. So to start our formal agenda, I'm going to pass things over to SEIU Healthcare Union Representative Tina Dacey, who is going to talk to us through mental health and wellness icebreaker to get us started. Tina, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Chris. And thank you everyone from Region 7 for inviting me out to your regional meeting tonight. As part of the union's ongoing commitment to supporting members' mental health, I was invited to come on tonight and talk a little bit about some community resources for mental health that maybe some members aren't aware of, and that might be helpful as we're all kind of moving through this crazy time period that we're going through. So I'm just going to share my screen. There we go. All right. So the first resource that I want to talk a little bit about tonight is a mental health walk-in counseling. And so this is a relatively new concept available throughout the province of Ontario, very similar to walk-in clinics that you might go into for any healthcare need. But these walk-in clinics are very specific to mental health. There's many programs and resources that are providing mental health walk-in. I would encourage everyone to kind of Google within your community, and I've got a couple of examples, but to really Google for your community so that you can see which resource is offering these and on what night and what their hours are. The great thing about the walk-in mental health sessions are that they are single sessions. You can go in and talk about a wide range of issues. You can talk about family conflict, stress, grief, anxiety, relationship issues, COVID, your workplace, anything like that. Most of these programs will provide that particular session anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. And if you find during the course of that particular appointment that you might need a little bit longer, or you might need some more ongoing services, most of these particular programs will refer you to ongoing services. So they can be a really great starting point. But again, I would really, just because of the COVID restrictions, I would really encourage everybody to call ahead just to see what's available and at what times, and whether or not they're doing them virtually or whether or not they're doing them face-to-face. I know in my previous life, I like to say, as a social worker, our particular program provided walk-in counseling, and it was such a great resource. We would connect with so many different families and individuals, and as a group within the Ottawa Carleton area, we would connect regularly and help that process of referring people out to the service that was going to best meet their needs. So this can be a really great resource. I've included in this particular presentation a couple of different examples. Please keep in mind, because I know Region 7's got some really kind of bigger cities in it, and then some very rural cities. The more rural communities are going to have less resources. I'm sure you're all aware of that. But so these examples here will be helpful in anyone who might not be sure whether or not a walk-in clinic is something that's going to be helpful for them. I would encourage, try these websites out and see. You can usually get some different sorry, I just lost my train of thought. I wanted to say referrals, but you'll get some different reviews in there and what people thought were helpful. So Family Services Toronto obviously is for the Toronto area, but they have been doing this particular modality of services for quite a long period of time. So they've got some long-term evidence-based reviews in there, so you might find that helpful. The next one that I've got in there, so I believe that we send this program out, or these websites out, so anyone who, you don't need to write down the websites tonight, they'll come out to you. Let me see. For Ottawa, we have a walkincounseling.com, and this is open to anyone who is part of the Champlain, the Lynn Champlain. And again, I would encourage anyone, just go into that website just to see what those services look like, for what age groups, for the different types of issues or concerns that people bring to that, and whether or not they thought those were helpful. For the more rural communities that might not have access to a walk-in clinic, eMental Health is a great resource. It is a central hub that you can go into. It is for the province of Ontario. You can search by your region, you can search by diagnosis, you can search by training, by your profession. It is really a collective place where all mental health services put their information in. So you can get fact sheets. They've got a section in there about training programs that are coming up, training programs for healthcare professionals, training programs for individuals in the community that might just be looking for some more information. And again, we'll also connect you to programs and services within your community that are there and available to provide services for you. As a social worker, I would give ementalhealth.ca out to every family that I connected with, just because it can just be such a great resource in terms of, you know, again, by age group, anything that you can imagine, you can go into this website and search for. The last resource that we wanted to present tonight is respiteservices.com. And we thought that this might be a really helpful service just in recognition that so many healthcare professionals that we often are also responsible for taking care of people within our own families, be that children or family members or our own parents. Respiteservices.com, again, a central hub for the province of Ontario. You can go in, you can search by your region, and they will connect you to healthcare professionals that are available to come in and provide respite care for the people that you're taking care of. And the idea behind that is just in recognition that all of us need a chance and an opportunity to take care of ourselves and recharge our own batteries. And so anyone who's been a part of any of my presentations before know that I'm a huge advocate for self-care. Respite services can be that connection point to help make your ability to grow your self-care practice a reality. The great thing about respite services is you can put in your own ad. You can advertise for exactly what kind of professional you're looking for, what nights, your time, and they'll connect you directly to the people in your area that are available for that. Respite Services is not an employer. They're simply there to kind of connect care providers with families. And then you have an opportunity to interview those people and to hire them. And so, you know, I think that, you know, really kind of in terms of thinking that we all need that opportunity and time and place to take care of ourselves. And with that, I am going to send that back to Chris and say thank you very much for including me tonight.
Thank you, Tina, so much for your insight and education for our members. I want to remind everyone that no matter how busy or stressful things get, you need to take time for yourself and do what you need to do for your own mental health and wellness. And please, if you need the extra help and you don't know where to go, please reach out to MRC and ask for it. Help is there. It's one phone call away, and don't be afraid to do it. I see one of the biggest union activists has joined us tonight, and I'd like to call upon her. She's one of the best voices SEIU has ever had, and she certainly is a voice for our membership. Our president, Charlene Stewart. Charlene, would you like to come on and say a few words?
I sure would, Chris. Thank you so much. Nice to be with you. You're starting to be a good chairperson. This is like coming second nature. I'm just coming on now to say hello to everybody. Thanks for joining us. I know how busy you are and appreciate the time that you put into seeing us and joining our meeting with us tonight. It's really nice to see you all. And I'm excited because soon sounds like we're going to be able to physically get together more often than not. And oh my gosh, Roger, what? Hey, Roger's on. Now that's an honor to have Roger joining us tonight. Nice to see you, buddy. So anyway, and I'm also joined with your Executive Vice President, Mina Amrith, over there in the corner. Mina, say hi. So I'm here, Chris, to answer any questions anybody might have, but just enjoy the hour with you. I am going to put a plug in, though. You might hear it later. I'm going to call all of you to make sure you join us on Saturday, June the 19th at our virtual rally. It's our version of having a Queen's Park good old-fashioned march. There's been so much crap happening coming out of Queen's Park lately. We have to send another message. So check our website, Facebook, and you'll see, I'm sure we'll be sending out invitations, and the app's going to have it in it. So we want to see thousands of people. We're going to be doing it jointly with CUPE, and we want to make sure that thousands of members are on there Saturday. Join us for an hour and send Queen's Park a message that they're not going to shut us up no matter how hard they try. So any questions, I'll be happy to join in and answer later, Chris. I'll pass it over to you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Charlene, and thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule to join us tonight. Before we move on, I want to ask the first poll question of the night. I'm going to encourage you all to take part in this. As a healthcare worker, what is the #1 area you'd like to see improvements? Let's everybody get answering the poll here. I personally would like to see more health and safety and wages, yes. %90 in wages. Mark, would you like to share that?
Yep, so we had 90% in wages. It looked like someone on our end actually stopped the poll a little quickly, so I apologize for that, but clear message that wages is the popular one there, Chris.
Wow. Our reps on the line should have a note of that when we go to bargaining. I know there's a lot of bargaining going on right now, and I'm sure that's the #1 issue with the Ford government playing the games that they're playing. Topics like workplace safety and WSIB have never been more important than they have been in the last 18 months. And I think it's safe to say that we will continue to be topics on the top of everyone's mind and moving forward. I'm happy to introduce our next presenter. Brenda's been around a long time, and she's certainly a professional in her group work that she does. Brenda Snyder, who works with SEIU Healthcare WSIB Department. Brenda, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Chris. I'm just going to share my screen here. Okay, can everyone see it? Okay, great. Okay, so good evening, everyone, and I thank all of you for inviting me to your regional meeting tonight to talk about health and safety, your right to know, and WSIB information should an injury or an occupational illness occur. We found that not all members are aware of their rights, so tonight is just a brief overview of important points for you to remember. First, who are your Joint Health and Safety Committee members? I've asked this question during my work, and it's more often than not, people don't know who their Joint Health and Safety Committee members are, even where to find them. So if you're not aware of who they are, you'll find their names on the Workplace Health and Safety Board. Some workplaces have a number of boards, so find out where they are and take a look at the information on them. And they'll include the Joint Health and Safety Committee minutes, any Ministry of Labor orders, or inspections of your workplace. Some workplaces have pictures of your Joint Health and Safety Committee members posted on them. And you may also find the names of the committees on your union bulletin boards as well. So it's very important to take a look at them. Look up your SEIU committee members. They're the committee that makes a difference in your health and safety in the workplace. Get to know them. Ask them how you can help out in the workplace, how you can assist them. An informed committee is a knowledgeable and powerful committee within your workplace. And they have all kinds of ways for you to assist in finding out the knowledge and what's happening within your workplace. You have 3 basic rights. The right to refuse dangerous work and be free in that you are in protected grounds, or you're free from harm. This is you have a right to refuse work that you believe may harm you in any way. And we also have a guidance tool on our website that you could ask for, or take a look and see if you can find it on the website. If you can't, let us know and we'll have it sent to you. The right to know about workplace hazards and access to basic health care information. When was the last time that any of you had WHMIS training? That's a training that should be held, at least annually, for you to know what is in your workplace. Anything that concerns your health and safety, you have a right to know that. A right to participate in the health and safety in your workplace and concerns in the health and safety committees. You have a right to participate and assist your joint health and safety committee members. These rights were legislated, and it was the unions that fought for these rights. So we should take care in our 3 basic rights. You have a health and safety issue or a concern, you should first notify your supervisor or manager and talk to them. Discuss it about the issue or concern, if there is a way to resolve it or not. If you're not able to resolve it after a discussion, if it goes above your supervisor or manager level where they have to get consent to resolve it, or if it's a financial, if it costs money, that as well. So get a time date when they'll get back to you on the issue. If they don't do that, you have a workplace health and safety complaint form that you can file as well. So you should file it if they haven't gotten back to you with the time, or they keep extending the time, or if it's not resolved at all to your satisfaction. Fill it out. Hand it in, contact your joint health and safety committee member, ensure that they know about the complaint, because not always does an employer hand it over to the health and safety committee member, that we have found anyways. And you may find it in your workplace too. So again, it's a knowledgeable committee, right? And you're assisting them in helping it make it safer for your workplace. Should an injury or an occupational disease occur, report to the employer as soon as possible. Seek medical treatment immediately or as soon as possible. Do not delay in seeking treatment. These first 2, WSIB has denied claims if you haven't reported it immediately, or if you haven't sought treatment immediately. There's no reason, that you can't say to your employer, I'm injured, I am going to seek medical treatment, not first aid, but real medical treatment in a facility from a doctor. Ensure a workplace incident report is filled out. You are entitled to a copy of that, and I would advise that you take a copy of that. There have been employers that have misplaced these incident reports, and there have also been employers that have changed these incident reports after you have provided your information. So get a copy of it and ensure that that also goes to your joint health and safety committee members, or if you're filing a claim, that that's included in the information that you provide to your representative. The employer is legally obligated to send a Form 7 to the WSIB when you're injured, should you seek medical treatment, or your work duties are modified or accommodated for a number of days. You're entitled to a complete copy of the Form 7. So should they make notes that they're going to provide to WSIB, you should be entitled, and you are entitled legally, to a complete copy of that Form 7. So ask them if they've provided any comments to the board, and ask them for them. Ensure that your SEIU Joint Health and Safety Committee member is copied on these as well. Employers don't always give copies of the notices to the committees, and it's needed in order to find the gaps, or if there is an ongoing issue within a certain area that would bring harm to you or others. So they need that to discuss that information. So I just want to leave you with one last thought, and it's talking about a village. You know how it takes a village to raise a child, they say? Well, in this instance, I'm going to try and bring across to you that the village is your workplace, and it takes all of you to bring each and every one of you home healthy and safe to your families. And I thank you very much, Chris, for having me tonight. Over to you.
No, thank you, Brenda. It's always great to have a refresher and education on WSIB and the forms that we're responsible to fill out. Up next, I'm now excited to introduce to you Amy Lenover. She's an RPN from Southwestern Ontario. She's a member of our Nursing Executive Board, and she's a true union leader, and she's a voice for her members in her workplace. Amy?
Thanks, Chris. Hi, my name is Amy Lenover, and I'm your Nursing Division Executive Board member for Region 7. I'm happy to be here tonight to tell you more about your nursing division. Did you know that SEIU Healthcare is the only service union with a dedicated nursing division? We are proud to have this space for our diverse group of nurses across the province. The nursing division is led by our president, Jackie Walker, and we have a vice president for each sector and a representative from all 8 regions. I became a part of our nursing division because I wanted to be more involved and I wanted to be an advocate for our profession. Our nursing division keeps our nurses updated on their unique professional standards, which are practice standards set by the College of Nurses of Ontario. We advocate for changes to the scope of practice in our profession, to close the wage gap between RPNs and RNs, for safety on the job, including proper PPE, to address staff shortages impacting healthcare, for zero tolerance for violence and harassment of healthcare workers, and so much more. The pandemic has been incredibly challenging for nurses and all healthcare professionals, and so it is important that together we fight for what we need. We are asking our nurses to share your stories from the front lines of battling COVID-19. If you haven't yet, we would love for you to please upload a video directly on the seiunurses.ca/stories site, as well for other healthcare workers to share stories about nurses you know who go above and beyond. Telling our stories is an important way to get the public's, our employers, and the government's attention to create meaningful changes for our profession. We need to put pressure on those in power to do better for nurses and all healthcare workers. Our voices are incredibly powerful tools. SEIU Healthcare and CUPE's Ontario Council of Hospital Unions recently surveyed nurses across the province. 93% of RPNs reported experiencing mental health and physical exhaustion. 66% of RPNs reported witnessing a coworker experience violence at work. And 1 in 3 RPNs reported not receiving paid time off when required to isolate due to COVID-19. Our president, Charlene Stewart, and our nursing division president, Jackie, along with SEIU nurses, have been sharing these findings through media press conferences. We are letting the public know that what healthcare workers are experiencing is not okay. Enough is enough. We must demand better. The government must increase staffing levels with full-time jobs that include benefits. We need mental health resources and safer working conditions. We have been urging the government to give healthcare workers their second dose of the COVID vaccine sooner than the 4-month interval. Finally, after we pressured them, they announced that they would reduce the wait time between doses for high-risk healthcare workers. On our seiunurses.ca website, you can find updates and many useful resources, including a guide for redeployment of hospital workers to other hospitals to help you protect your professional standards of practice in case of redeployment. You can also find educational webinars, our It's Time to Support RPNs campaign, a digital version of our nursing division magazine, Scrubs and Scopes, and so much more. One great thing you can take a look at is our Nurses Unite campaign, where we have received so many submissions from patients and clients across the province who are saying thank you to their healthcare professionals. Messages have come pouring in from the public to show appreciation to healthcare workers for your professionalism, compassion, and integrity. It will warm your heart to read these beautiful tributes. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Amy. It's always great to hear from the nursing division. Now to deliver some more important information, I wanted to introduce Mark from SEIU Healthcare's communication team, he's going to talk to you about the brand new SEIU Healthcare mobile app. Mark?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. Man, Chris, Tina, Amy, you're becoming naturals at this. So tough act to follow. But I'm just going to take a few minutes really quickly just to speak to you all about the brand new SEIU Healthcare app. I see a few of you on camera. Just if you could, if you've downloaded the app, could you raise your hand? Okay, I see a couple of hands. So if you haven't already, I'm going to highly encourage you to go to your Apple App Store or in the Android store and download the brand new SEIU Healthcare app. In the meantime, I'm going to give you a really quick refresher of a few of the features on the app, especially if you haven't downloaded it yet, and also give you a few of the statistics from our first month as the app came out exactly a month ago. So, and if at any point you have any questions or anything, you can post them in the chat. I will get to them as well and message you all one-on-one. But first things first, we've had 6,000 app downloads already. I remember talking to my team probably 30 days ago. We were saying, 2,000 would be like a really cool number. So we've tripled that. That's more than 10% of the membership. And we're getting calls every single day, feedback constantly. So if you haven't downloaded the app yet, again, you can download it on your iPhone, your iPad, or your tablet, your Android. Play around with it. Let us know what you think. Provide some feedback. We're always looking to improve, take your feedback and make it better. As you can see here, 60% of our users are Apple users, 40% Android. And we've had 420 stewards download it. And I'm going to show you a few of the features, if anyone here is a steward, that can really benefit you. There are some really cool features and functionality in the app. One other thing I just wanted to show everybody really quickly, we've had 7,000 article shares. So that's posts that people have seen in the app. They've taken them, they've shared them via email or text or on social media. So you can just easily take an article, share it on Facebook with fellow colleagues, members, friends and family, letting them know about absolutely anything with the click of a button. So it's very easy. And one thing I always want to flag to everyone is this little stat on the right here. Gone are the days where you're having a busy day, you're working 12, 13, 14-hour shifts, you want to get home and relax, and you've got to call the MRC about something. Like you want to get your member number, you have to call the MRC. You don't need to do that anymore because the SEIU Healthcare app has a live chat in it for you. So you can literally message the MRC, or the MSC, I should say, on your phone. If you're out doing groceries or something and something comes to mind and you have a question, you can message them directly there. You can also request a call back as well. So that's a really cool feature. We basically shifted half of those phone calls to online, and that number is going to keep growing. So we hope that can really help you. A few of the other features on the app, as I mentioned, the live chat, amazing functionality, but there's the collective agreement. So you can open up your collective agreement in 10 seconds on the app instead of having to call in or search for it in the member portal. And the cool thing about it is there is a search functionality built in. So you can literally type vacation and find out the vacation part of your collective agreement just like that, very easily. News and alerts, so there's custom push notifications as well. So for an event like tonight, for example, you can get a little push notification that comes out to you, anything that's happening in Region 7 or anywhere really for that matter, any COVID-19 updates, for example, press releases we're constantly putting out. Charlene's always in the media. Jackie's doing a bunch of stuff for Nursing Week right now. We have so many things coming up, for the nursing division. So you can get all your news and alerts there in one place. We always also have an amazing events functionality built in where you can add events directly to your calendar. For a meeting like this, you can get a push notifications 15 minutes before, click it, and it will take you right to the event. So there's some of your amazing features, and these are going to keep coming, and we're going to keep improving on them as we go. Again, if you haven't downloaded it, it's available in both the Apple App Store and in the Google Play Store. All you need to do is go into your App Store and type SEIU Healthcare, and you'll see our little purple icon here that says SEIU. And that's where you'll be able to click the little get button and download the app. It's very easy to download, doesn't take long, doesn't take much space up on your phone or your tablet, and doesn't require a lot of data at all. We strategically built it that way for you. Just a quick refresher of the registration process, and this is for anyone as well who may not have downloaded it yet. It's very easy. You just click sign up. You go, are you currently an SEIU Healthcare member? You select yes. This is where you put your member ID in. So I would encourage everyone, if you haven't downloaded the app yet, About a month ago or so, we sent out an email and text blast to everyone with your member ID. So you should have received that. You might have to check your junk mail perhaps, but just in case, if you don't have your member ID, you should be able to find it there. If not, you can call the Member Resource Center to get it before signing up. Or if you're really in a rush, you want to test out the app right away, you can click skip for now and go to the next part, which is the sign up process here on the right-hand side. But we would highly encourage then that you open that live chat that I just spoke to you about in the app to get your member ID. Go into My SEIU in the app and add that member ID, because that's just the best way we can communicate to you. We know that you're in Region 7, you don't necessarily care about what's happening in Region 4, or if you call into the MSC because of something, we know who you are right away and can help you in the best way possible. And then the last thing I'll just mention to everyone, there are a few known issues with the app. For the most part, these are all being resolved daily. So some collective agreements were disappearing. If you ever have an issue with that, you can just let us know in the Member Service Center and we'll fix it right away. But for the most part, these have all been fixed. We've seen a few things with stewards, for example, grievances are not always showing up. So that's one thing I mentioned earlier for stewards. It's amazing. You can see all of your grievances in the app. There's a new update that's just come out, which allows us to target you regionally now. So you might have received a meeting invite for Region 1, for example. Now we're making it so we can customize that based on who you are. So another reason to get your member ID in there. And there's constantly new updates coming every 2 to 3 weeks. There was just one this morning. There was one on June 4th right before that. So we're constantly looking at issues. We've just added video now, so you can play videos on the app. And we're going to keep going as often as possible and making adjustments. And again, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you like about the app, what you don't like about the app, and what we can keep improving on and adding on to benefit you. So that's it for me. And thanks again, everyone. If you have any questions at any point, please put them in the chat. But yeah, highly encourage everybody to download the new SEIU app. And that being said, I'll throw it back to Chris.
Thank you, Mark. I personally have found the SEIU mobile app to be a game changer, whether it's how I access my union news, live chat with the MSC, or quick reviewing of my collective agreement. The app has really connected me to my union like never before. If you don't have it, I encourage you all to download it as soon as possible. I'm happy to introduce our next speaker, who will touch on some of the bills the Ontario government has passed that are keeping healthcare workers down. Christophe Barotz is SEIU Healthcare's Deputy Chief of Staff and has always been very involved in our political work. He seems to be everywhere when you need him. And Christophe, thank you for joining us.
Chris, I'm actually going to throw a little plot twist here because Christophe actually is not here yet. I've just noticed. So okay. I was wondering if maybe, I see Christophe's coming in, but while we get him in here and get him set up, Jackie, do you want to maybe speak a little bit about the commercial that we have coming out?
Jackie Walker?
Jackie Walker.
Hi, everyone. I wish I was in Chatham right now. You guys always have the best weather, great people, but Christophe is joining now. But has anybody seen, we were watching TV over the weekend and you've seen an ad that made you go? I saw it on YouTube. And this was a response that SEIU put together in response to Doug Ford's Bill 254. SEIU, your union leader, Charlene, and other leaders across the province fought Bill 254 because it's unconstitutional and took it to court and put up a fight in the courts, and the judge deemed it unconstitutional. And today, Doug Ford decided to cancel vacation and bring his people in so that he could do something that he thinks is going to hold us down and he thinks is going to hold us back. But he doesn't know that SEIU members are resilient, are strong and creative, and that we will find a way to defeat him and all of the crud that he brings up for us. So I don't think I said too much, Mark, but I think I'm going to hand it over to Christophe, who's going to take us deeper into Bill 254.
Christophe, good evening.
Hello, Chris. Hello, everybody. I'm so sorry for being a little bit late. The other presentation ran a little bit long, but thank you so much for your patience. And good evening, everybody. I am here today co-presenting with my colleague, Jackie Haynes. Jackie, maybe just give everyone a big wave there. Jackie Haynes is our internal organizer for Home and Community Care and a longstanding political activist. And I'm happy to see a lot of you on the screen who have familiar faces and names who have been part of our great union for a long time, helping us push for creative change. And Mr. Stolte, if you're okay, may I proceed or?
Sure, go right ahead.
All right, thank you, sir. So as I think Chris probably mentioned before I joined, I'm here today to talk briefly about some of the important pieces of legislation that the government has passed in the recent 6 to 8 months that has a significant impact on all of you as health and community care workers.
Respect Us, Bill 254, Protecting Ontario Elections Act. The new law was passed in April of 2021. This increased the personal donation to political parties from $1,650 to $3,300.
That's right. And I think that really paints a clear picture about who Bill 254 is aimed to help, right? The previous cap on personal donations to a political party or candidate was $1,600 a year, right? And that was really kind of struck as a middle ground between ensuring people had the freedom to donate to a party or candidate they support, but not to unfairly disadvantage people who couldn't donate a bigger sum and thereby putting a limit, which was, I think, a reasonable limit. Bill 254 upped that limit to over $3,000. So you can ask yourself, which working class person, which healthcare or community care worker has, probably $1,000 laying around, but let alone $3,000 laying around to donate to a political party, right? It really gives a very clear indication of who this bill is aimed to support.
Exactly. So this limits what SEIU can put into the public realm during an election.
And on the right here, and I think Jackie was very eloquently talking about the great ad that we ran during the weekend, but some of these other ads that you see, the Tom to Care was a long-term care public awareness campaign to bring public attention to what was going on long-term care, which was very poor working conditions for our members, poor care because of lack of investments towards residents, and at the same time, tens of millions of dollars of profits and CEO compensation, right? And I credit Bill this Tom to Care public awareness ad campaign that we ran in making sure that for-profit providers were excluded from the Bill 124 restrictions. The other one, the middle one, the Together for Respect, was a hospital campaign, as some of you know, and as some of you are involved in hospital bargaining. We ran that campaign again during the last round of central negotiations to raise public awareness about the importance of investing in hospital and hospital workers, thereby putting pressure on decision makers to do that. And the last one, the Stuck in the Past, was a home care campaign that we ran about raising awareness about the condition of home care sector in the province and the need to invest in it and the need to make that system run better, both for workers and for clients.
If anybody would like to put in the chat why they feel that the Ford government is limiting free speech, we can read a few of those off.
And while you're doing that and Jackie's looking at the chat, I just want to kind of really solidify that, one of the biggest changes to in this 254 was the period of what's called the election period, right? It went from 28 days to 6 months under previous legislation. 254 extended that to a year. So a year before the election, anybody who's not a political party cannot put anything into the public realm or has very stringent restrictions on how much we can spend in the public realm, putting up ads or advocating for change, and also put a lot of restrictions on what is considered political advertising or advocacy. So essentially anything that could be construed as a political issue, any issue that any politician may talk about is now considered a political advertising and thereby fall under these restrictions.
So we have one response in the chat from Darlene. She says she feels because they're scared that this is one reason.
Exactly. I think, Jackie, you probably agree with that too. I mean, that is what this bill is really aimed to do, right? It's you have a government right now, and this is not about conservatives, right? This is, if this was a liberal government or an NDP government, I would be here telling the same thing, because this is a full front attack on working healthcare workers and working people in the province. Because obviously you have a government that is afraid of brand news, and if we have healthcare workers and community care workers talking about their experiences, and specifically experiences during the pandemic, that would really lessen their chance of re-election, right? So it's a real reaction to, they're afraid of what unions, healthcare workers, and other associations, for example, the Autism Coalition, advocating for more support for kids with autism, may say that may impact their electability during the next election cycle.
And Linda says he doesn't want any groups, whether small or large, bringing up his shortcomings and failures while he's been in power.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Of course, anytime he can silence the public, that's going to help him in his campaign. So,
that's right.
254 shows no respect. Sorry, Christoph.
Go ahead.
Bill 254 shows no respect towards healthcare and community care workers and their experiences.
Absolutely, it doesn't. And so what your union did under the leadership of Charlene, Mina, Tyler, and Jackie was come together with other unions and say 254 is going to be a huge attempt at muzzling healthcare workers. We can't stand for it. Mm-hmm. So there was a court case. We challenged 254, saying that it's unconstitutional. It is an infringement of Section 2A of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms under the right of free speech. Took him to court, and last week, I think on Tuesday or Wednesday morning, the court decision came in. The Superior Court of Ontario said Bill 254 is unconstitutional. It is a violation of the Charter, not merely because of what's in the law, but how the law was brought into force, meaning it was passed quickly without proper consultation, and it was passed at a time where the law would be already in effect when it was passed, right? So usually there's a period of kind of adjustment, saying the bill will come into effect on the 1st of January or on the 1st of December. Here it wasn't. It was brought into effect as soon as it was passed. So people had no time to adjust. So because of that, because of the provisions of the legislation, it was deemed unconstitutional. So we had a big sigh of relief. We won. Justice will prevail. And then within 24 hours, the Ford government said this: we're going to recall the legislature because they already broke for summer. And obviously they worked during the summer too, but they're not in Queen's Park passing laws as, you know, as the main duty of a elected representative. And they didn't recall the legislature to pass pandemic pay or expand pandemic pay or make it permanent. They didn't call in to make the precautionary principle a law. They didn't call back the legislature to deal with revoking Bill 124, which I'll talk about later. They called back the legislature to do this, to repass Bill 254 with another part in it calling the notwithstanding clause, meaning the province is saying, hey, we know this is unconstitutional. We know this is discrimination under the act, under the charter, but we don't care. We have the right. We're going to pass it and enforce it either way. So that is what the current provincial government, the conservative Ford government, has been busy doing in the last few days, as opposed to reacting to some of the huge issues within the health and community care sector.
Right. Protect Us. Bill 175, Connecting People to Home and Community Care Act 2020. Bill 175 overhauls the home care system, weakening oversight and increases privatization. No input from workers at all.
That's right. And I mean, Jackie, I mean, you work with home care workers a lot. Like, what are, like, you see all these challenges within the home care sector, and we know that. I mean, that has been a long-lasting campaign of the union, and we've made a lot of progress. For example, Fulfilling the Promise was a big step forward about bringing issues in the home care sector to light and dealing with it. And what was the government's reaction last year under 175? To increase privatization, to weaken oversight. And there's already very poor oversight of home care sector and home care providers, as opposed to making that more rigid, more responsive to some of the issues. They weakened oversight and they increased the role of the private sector, right? So it's almost like they're trying to recreate the failed for-profit long-term care model within the home care sector. And again, workers weren't asked for their opinion. They weren't asked for their input. It was all done behind the scenes with people from corporations, people with advocacy or lobbyists from home care providers, and that's how it was passed.
Bill 195, Reopening Ontario Act 2020. Bill 195 gave employers the ability to override provisions of the collective agreement in response to the pandemic.
And I'm sure you feel 195 every day, right? If you've had your vacation canceled, if you've been redeployed, if your schedule has changed, if you see volunteers or people off the street now doing your job or doing jobs within your long-term care or hospital or home care sector, that is a result of Bill 195. And while Bill 195 did some good things in response to the pandemic, making sure that public health was prioritized, of course, they had to sneak in some parts that say not only do healthcare and home care employers have the ability now to change your schedule, cancel your vacation in response to the pandemic, the union is now also restricted from filing grievances under some of those parts of the collective agreement, right? So it's kind of like this double-sided, like let's do some operational changes to respond to the pandemic, but making sure that healthcare workers don't have a mechanism by which they can oppose some of these changes. Good thing is the emergency orders of their 195 are temporary. They are going to expire one day, although they keep bumping down that date. And when they do expire, employers can no longer do that. And we will be filing grievances if the employers do not revert to their processes or practices that are in line with the collective agreement.
Exactly. Bill 195 and Bill 175 do not protect the rights of healthcare and community home workers. PAYUS, Bill 124, Protecting a Sustainable Public Sector for Future Generations Act 2019. So this legislation caps total compensation at 1% per year for 3 years.
I mean, this is the big one, right? And compensation, as you see on the number one figure on the left, is not just wages. So if people think that your wages are capped at 1%, that's not the real truth. The real truth is the 1% includes your wages, benefit improvement, vacation improvement, sick time improvements. So anything that has a dollar value is included in this 1% total compensation cap, which is extremely unfair, extremely restrictive, and extremely a blind eye to what is actually going on in the healthcare and community care sectors.
The legislation impacts hospitals, school boards, long-term care homes, and home and community care.
Anything that can be tied back to tax dollars, anything that is, so anyone who's paid out of the so-called public purse is affected under 124. So anybody who works for any of those entities named on here is under the Bill 124 compensation cap.
Some MPPs, firefighters, police officers all received raises before the legislation was even passed.
That's right. So as you can see, these are male-dominated professions, right? So coincidentally or not so coincidentally, the government was able to hammer out collective agreements and to support that process for firefighters and police officers, again, male-dominated, not exclusively, but male-dominated professions. And their MPPs, conservative MPPs who act in the parliamentary assistant role, got a 14% increase just before this went into effect. And coincidentally, if you work for a hospital, your CEO or other sort of senior people are also not excluded, because there's provisions in the act where performance can be used as an exemption of the act.
Bill 124 ensures healthcare workers and community care workers aren't paid what they deserve.
So in conclusion, 254 affects how your union can amplify your voice, right? Through some of those public awareness campaigns, through newspaper ads, some of the big important work that your union does in making sure public is aware about what you face every day and what needs to be done. 254 acts to stifle that and also to muzzle the voices of healthcare and community care workers, making sure that you cannot put anything into the public realm with support that may be contrary to the government's line or perspective or rhetoric. 175, 195, again, big piece of legislation, huge impact on you as healthcare and community care workers, but no voice at the table when drafting and deciding on what's in that bill took place. 124, again, huge attack on healthcare workers and public sector workers as a whole, saying that you are not worth more than a 1% compensation increase, total compensation increase this year, and for 3 years during a life of a collective agreement. And the thing that gets me the most, I mean, this is all kind of disgusting in my viewpoint, I'm sure most of yours as well, but when the government wants to act fast, they can act fast. When 254, for the period it became an idea in the legislature or first reading to the point it became law was 2.5 months, right? There have been legislations that have been passed even faster than that. So when they think something's a priority to them, they can act lightning fast and stimulate the entire system to get results. But on other issues, and I'm sure you can probably think of a whole long list of issues, for example, the WSIB coverage for retirement developmental service and DSWs, making sure those retirement workers and DSWs have WSIB coverage. That's been a campaign, Jackie, for how long?
Yeah, about 5 years. So that just shows how quick they can get what they want through, and something that means a lot for our health and safety. It takes over 5 years.
That's right. That's right. So when it's their priority, they act fast. When other people's priorities, not so fast.
Right. So when we know what's happening at Queen's Park, when we speak up about our experiences and advocate for change, when we participate in the political process by sending emails, calling, and meeting with our local politician, when we vote for candidates that support home and community care and healthcare workers, when we encourage others to vote and support healthcare and community care workers, when we hold politicians accountable to their commitments, we can and we will win.
Thank you so much, Jackie, and thank you everybody for your attention. I know it's late in the night and there's a lot going on in your lives, but please, please pay attention to these issues. These have a huge impact on your day-to-day working condition. And when you
wanted to add something, Christoph, if I can,
sure.
Just again about political action and how it's really important for members to, move forward with the things that matter to them. So I just want to remind people I'm always here to help you with letters, setting up appointments. I know that for some people it can be really nerve-wracking to talk to an MPP or an MP, but just know that these people are hired, and they're hired for us. They work for us. There is nothing to feel intimidated about. But I just want everyone to know that I am here to support you in whatever sort of campaign or anything that you need to move forward. I love and enjoy doing this stuff with you guys. So just want to let you all know that I am here for you in any way, shape, or form. All right.
Thank you so much, Jackie. And thank you, everybody. Stay safe. Thank you for everything you do, and have a great night.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you, Jackie and Krista. You explaining these bills should really put the pressure on all of us to push back and fight for them to be repealed. I know SEIU Healthcare has really led the fight in this and has worked closely with other unions, and let's hope that we get to victory soon. Before we move on to the questions, we have a few more poll questions to ask, and then we have our giveaway. The first of our poll questions: have you downloaded the SEIU Healthcare mobile app yet? I encourage everybody to vote.
And just a reminder, anyone on my team, just not to press the end poll button. We'll let everyone finish this time. Thank you.
It's a great response.
What What do you think, Chris? 10 more seconds?
Yep, be great. Excellent. You want to review those, Mark?
Yep, so we have 10 out of 14 who voted have downloaded the SEIU Healthcare app. So if you haven't already, please find a moment to do so. And then have you gotten the COVID-19 vaccine? 4 have gotten 1 dose, 5 are fully vaccinated, which is great. 1 no, but I want it, and 4 no, and I don't plan on getting it. So thank you so much to everyone for taking a moment to take those polls for us. Back to you, Chris.
Thank you for providing those answers. Now it's time for our giveaway, which is a $75 President's Choice gift card. This will be given to the first person who answers the following question correctly in our chat. Name 2 bills that Ontario government has introduced that have held healthcare workers down. Go. Just give another minute there.
Christoph,
we at,
Jackie,
Mark?
do you see a winner there? Anyone that you think got it first?
I do, and I think it's I hate being the judge in these kind of things, but I think Julie is probably the first one to get the answer right. So Bill 124 is the 1% compensation cap, and 175 is the Home Care Act. So I think Julie was the first in the draw here tonight.
Congratulations, Julie. I know we've thrown a lot of important information at you tonight. So now we'll take any questions that you may have. You can put them in the chat or raise your hand on Zoom, and we will call on you when it's your turn. Mark, do you want to take the questions?
Yeah, so if anyone has any questions, you can post them in the chat, and I'll read them out for everyone. If you have any questions for Charlene is here as well still, just a reminder for anyone. If you have any questions about the app, I'm here to help out in any way.
Are there any questions in the chat, Mark?
No questions right now. That means does that mean we're doing a good job?
That
Yes,
means
absolutely.
everybody's fired up, ready to go. They're gonna all show up on the 19th. They're gonna be emailing Premier Ford and all their MPPs. Looks good.
I will give it 30 more seconds, Chris, see if anyone else is typing away, but I think we're okay. Charlene, I see one question there in the chat from Victoria. Do you guys have any information with regards to PSWs being regulated?
Nothing new from the announcement that came out, and I don't know, what was it, a month back? All the days are melding together. But I mean, SEIU is still quite concerned about that announcement because they basically announced that they were looking into regulating PSWs without doing all the background work, without talking about how the structure and the formalities. One thing that the unions were very boisterous about is making sure that it wasn't run by the Ontario Personal Support Workers Association. The government's promised us that it won't be, but you can't trust the government. They just proved that today. So for all the PSWs on the Zoom tonight, continue to go into our Facebook and look on the site and make sure that you send the emails telling them that you want a professional regulated body for the PSWs and not what they say is OPSWA. So as soon as we hear stuff, we'll make sure that you hear it, probably in our new app first.
And I see one more question there from Sandra, actually just asking, can the names of chief stewards or executive committee members in each facility be included in the app? So the chief steward is actually there. You might find that a few of them, it's not completely accurate, but we're working a way to populate all of them, make sure they're completely up to date. So if you do notice an error on your workplace, if you go to My SEIU, that's where all your work information is. The best contact number is your chief steward. So we're working away on that. So those kind of features are all coming, and we'll update you as soon as they're all set up, but there is contact information if you go to My SEIU on the app.
Excellent. I don't see any more questions. Are there any more, Mark? Great.
That's it, Chris. Back to you.
Great. Unfortunately, we've run out of time for this event tonight. Before I go, I'd just like to highlight some upcoming events. We have two upcoming events, or Facebook Lives this month. On June 22nd, we'll be celebrating Filipino Heritage Month, and on June 29th, we'll be celebrating Pride Month. Both events start at 7 p.m. and will be live streamed on our Facebook page. Also, Purple Day is fast approaching on July the 16th, so start making your plans to celebrate. For more details on all upcoming events and initiatives, make sure you download the brand new SEIU Healthcare mobile app. I want to thank everyone so much for attending tonight. It's been great to see you all, and I look forward to seeing you all at our next regional board meeting, which will probably be in September. We are putting a feedback survey in the chat, and we'll also be emailing it along with a copy of this meeting tomorrow. Please fill it out so we can learn more about what you'd like to see in these meetings. I also want to remind everyone to follow the SEIU Healthcare on Facebook and Instagram. On Facebook, you can find us under SEIU Healthcare Canada, while on Instagram, we are at SEIU Healthcare. If we didn't get to your question tonight, or if you have a new question that pops up, you can contact your member service center at 1-877-672-7348, Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 4:30, and someone will be happy to help you. You can also access the MSC through your SEIU Healthcare mobile app. Thank you to all our speakers tonight. Thank you again for joining me today. Keep an eye on your email for the date and times of our next meeting, and I look forward to seeing you all then. Have a great rest of your evening, and please have a safe and great holiday season over the summer. Thank you.